I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, I want to do another plug here, guys, for this. I've been plugging it a lot. This stories.com website. storeys.com, just like, floor, stories. And it's a fantastic resource for everybody, especially a realtor like me. I've been going in there once a week now for probably the last year or so. Every time I get into that thing once a week, I end up spending an hour and a half looking at the various stories in there. It's like a soap opera. It covers, all the major cities, Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, I think a little bit of Alberta I see in there, but it's mostly Toronto and Vancouver. Lots going on in Vancouver. Incredible stories. As I say, it's like a soap opera in there. It'll give you, what's coming up for rezoning, what developers have in the works for various developments, but it's got a whole lot of stuff in there on developers that are in trouble, developers, especially smaller ones that are in receivership, are going bankrupt. Lots of lawsuits with pre-sales, buyers that have bought homes and now are suing the developer, or vice versa. I'll tell you one here in a minute, where a lady in this Curve building in the West End here, they're still trying to pre-sell, bought 4 high-end luxury units. I think she dropped over $30 million for the 4, and she's now all of a sudden not paying the deposits anymore, and the developer is suing her. But I'm going to talk about this Curve building here. So check it out. I think you guys will find it really interesting. It's a bit of a soap opera out there. It's amazing some of the stuff that's going on. It's a tough time to be a developer now in Canada. And I feel for these developers. As you guys know, I'm not a big fan of buying pre-sale. Although every now and again, I will represent a buyer on pre-sale. I used to buy more pre-sale 10, 12, 15 years ago, and I used to buy assignments. I've done lots of blogs on the market, how it used to be compared to today. But buying a pre-sale can make sense if it's a very unique product, what I call special circumstance. So if the price is right and it's a unit that couldn't be replicated in the open market right now, in the tangible market, maybe it can make sense. But that said, I have a lot of sympathy and respect for developers. They have an extremely difficult job. We need them. Realtors need them. The housing market needs developers. The economy really needs developers to be building homes. But of course, we've got a government here provincially and to some extent in the city and federally that is not friendly to developers. Like I've often said, they speak with forked tongue. They want more homes built because we've got an affordability crisis here. But behind the scenes, they throw everything they can at these developers in the form of taxes, restrictions, community amenity contributions, infrastructure contributions that the developer has to put in, art installations, schools, sewer upgrades. They put everything onto the developer with their pre-sale stuff. And it drives the cost of these units up astronomically. I've told you guys many times, we're up over $200,000 to the government for a typical small one bed, and I think we're now up well over $300,000 goes to the government for every 2-bedroom built. So it's crazy. So, I feel for these developers. They have a very tough job. Now, don't get me wrong. When everything goes right for them, they can make a pretty reasonable profit. I've told you guys, I think the margins for a developer building a 150-unit tower probably run anywhere from about 12 to 18% if everything goes right, but seldom does it. So, but they're pretty smart. The big developers are. They have this figured out. They've done this so much. They can put together a pro forma on exactly what we've got to pay for this land, how many years it's going to take us to get through the gauntlet known as City Hall in the province, get the zoning and everything else, hire the construction, get everything put through, hire the pre-sale marketing. What do we have to sell these units at a price per square foot to make a reasonable profit? And then cross our fingers that once we get started on the pre-sales, not too much goes wrong as far as the economy or interest rates or new taxes and restrictions that the government might announce is endless. As I say, it's a gauntlet that these developers have to go through. And I don't know how they do it. Now, I can tell you most of the big boys right now, a lot of them I've been telling you guys, are on the sidelines and have been for a while. Just not a friendly business environment. That's why you see very few cranes in the downtown core here. Of those cranes you do see, pretty much all of them are going to be rental, market rental, or social housing. There's a few condo, but not a whole lot. Part of it is because anything built in downtown is going to be ultra luxury condos, starting at, I don't know, 2,000 a square foot up to, you can hit 5,000 a square foot now for some of these. So let me give you a couple of new articles here in the stories that I just read. So this one here, developer has to pay $55 million to cut social housing from the 60-story Curve Tower in Vancouver. So the Curve is a tower that they're still having a hard time pre-selling this thing. They're on their second try. They've been at this for about 18 months now. But they've decided now, you know, unbeknownst to me, I knew there was going to be a rental component. This is going to be 328 luxury strata units, 50 market rental units, and 102 social housing units. So you guys know how I feel about the social housing component in luxury strata. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. I've done a few blogs on this. Before I get a bunch of angry comments here, I'm all for social housing. I've probably done 15 blogs on this over the last 10 years. My problem is why are we building social housing in the most expensive real estate in Canada? And especially, why are we adding social housing into a luxury condo? I think we're one of the only cities that does that. So this Curve building has units in the 15, 20, $25 million price category. Just a typical one in the Curve here is going to be $6 million. I don't see why someone would drop 6, 7, 8, 10 million on an average unit in the Curve and then have 100 social housing units on the lower floors. To me, it doesn't make any sense, but I know why they do it, because the developer here does this because A, they get more floor space ratio, and I believe they can also get a little bit more fast-tracked on getting their permits and development stuff put forward. But I think it's now a double-edged sword, because I think that is one of the reasons that's been holding this pre-sales back on this. These people are looking at this thing saying, you know, it's a 3-bed, 3-bath, $16 million, but I've got market rental down below me and then 102 social housing units. Now, yes, they'll be on a separate entrance, but it seems crazy to me. And I think, I'm not sure, but you guys can let me know, that might be one of the reasons. Now, stories goes on to say that there are 3 other developments that they would not name in the West End, towers, they're all going to be luxury towers, that also are in limbo that had social housing component that they are trying to renegotiate. Now they go on to say this is the reason for this sluggish sales are economic conditions. Yes, I would agree. We're in a recession. And the tariffs threat. Well, the tariffs threat is relatively new. Curve has been trying to sell these pre-sales for 18 months, so there was no tariffs back then. The economy is deteriorating slowly over the last 2 years here, thanks to the NDP. But I would say a good reason for these ones that are stalled, and this is just my personal opinion, just might be that social housing component. When you're dropping $3,000, $4,000 a square foot, which is what this Curve is. It says here the Curve has averages probably about $2,500 a square foot, but they are well over $4,000 a square foot in this strata. That probably is one of the reasons. Let me know what you guys think that's holding that development back. What I've said all along is, why don't we take that money? They're going to pay $55 million just to get out of this social housing, plus whatever, I don't know what other costs are in to get that social housing built. They have to build some. Why don't you just take that money, go out to Wally out in Surrey, or go out to any area that's a little more affordable on SkyTrain to build your social housing? I don't know, am I out to lunch on this? That's just my thinking. You could build 3 times more social housing 15 kilometers out on SkyTrain, as opposed to being in the most valuable and prime real estate in the country. I don't know, I don't see them building social housing in Beverly Hills or Bel Air or Park Avenue. Maybe I'm missing something. You guys let me know. So, another article on the Curve in stories here. Curve developer sues pre-sale purchaser over underpaid deposits on 4 units. So it went on to say, or gives this lady's name, Marie Antoinette was her name. Marie Antoinette, she bought 4 units in the Curve, and these were expensive units. They're not privy to exactly how much she paid, but they know the floors that they were purchased on. She purchased 2 mid-floor units that were somewhere around $6 million each. She purchased another one somewhere between 14 and 18 million, and a final one, a penthouse or sub-penthouse that they think was somewhere around 21 million. So she had over $10 million in deposits that were owed in a, as you guys know, on a timeline that she has now stopped paying. So the developer here now is suing her because she's in breach of contract for not meeting the obligations of the contract. So you see these all over the place in this story's website. Again, I don't know. I mean, who knows why? Maybe this could be one of the ones where maybe she had a couple of glasses of wine and you get into the sales presentation and they really wow you with everything and you buy 1 or 2 and hey, why not? Let's buy a couple more. Who knows? I don't know, other than this lady must be a very wealthy woman and apparently she was buying them for a trust, an investment trust. Who knows? But obviously, for whatever reason, has gotten cold feet on these deals. Now, geez, I might have cold feet on that as well. I think if she would have had a realtor, I definitely do not think I would have told her to buy 4 units in this building at those prices. If you want to buy one for 5 or 6 million, go ahead. But to be dropping, 2 of them that were over 15 million up to 21 million, I don't know, with a social housing component and a market rental component in the tower. So it doesn't surprise me they're stalling on this project, guys. I hope it gets done. I wouldn't buy anything in this Curve, but hey, that's me. You guys know I'm not a big fan of pre-sale. I think there's better stuff out there at better prices. I know there is, but it looks like a really nice building and I hope it gets built because I might end up selling some stuff in there. I probably will. But who knows why she got the cold feet, but there's a lot of that going on now, and that's why you don't see a whole lot of luxury, which is all they're building downtown, moving forward. There's a few down in Cole Harbor off Georgia Street that obviously have secured enough pre-sale to move forward with the construction. But this tower has not moved forward yet. They have not done enough sales to even move forward to the construction stage yet. So this may never get built. This woman, she's being sued for the deposits, but who knows? This building may never reach the stage where they get enough money to move forward with development, and she could get out of it. Who knows? I'm not privy to all that. Either is stories, other than that it's a big lawsuit. So we'll see. But, social housing in a ultra luxury tower, I don't think makes a good mix. I'm all for social housing, either standalone, 100% social housing, or build the social housing, take the money and build way more units in maybe a less expensive area. Personally, I would never drop $8, $9, $10 million on a condo and have a social housing component. That's just me. I know maybe I'm a bad guy and I should be wanting social housing, but I think the proof is in the pudding here with the sales on these. And then again, they don't name them, but there's 3 other developments that are in limbo, and it sounds like they're looking to renegotiate the social housing on those as well. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.